Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is what you may call part two of a Beatles vinyl haul and other artists too, actually. I did a video a little while ago with part one, and basically there are going to be some really interesting Beatle items that are going to be coming in future videos as this huge collection that was acquired by someone kind of is revealed, step by step, little at a time, bit by bit. So let's show the next installment, and hopefully there will be more to come. Okay, to start with, we have this German version of Please Please Me, the Beatles. And this is on the Horzu label, and this is in really good shape. Now, I didn't really look it up. I don't think it's a first press, but I think it's an early press. A lot of people out there will know, especially my friend Beatle Vinyl 85, Marv. You can tell me some of the information here. I'll show you the record in a minute. This is a really great sounding album. A lot of you know this already, that when it comes to Please Please Me, this is like the best quality practically that you can get for Please Please Me. So this is highly recommended to Beatle collectors. When you go into the inner sleeve, you can see we have this, and there's the label. You already see the label, right? All right, let me get a good view of the label. You could freeze that and look it up. Let me know what you think the deal is. Yeah, I think it's a later pressing myself. I know that the red label is pretty important. So let's take a look. Somebody, let me know what you think. Very happy for this one. This is really nice. Okay, now as we go on, this is an interesting little item here. It's just called George Harrison and Ringo Starr 1980 press conferences. And doesn't have much here in the way of artwork, but in the back you got a photo there of Ringo and George. Looks like this is a shot from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, actually, is what this is. And then inside, the vinyl is colored vinyl. So that's a little extra kick, right? I'm interested in playing this. It's really nice. One side has got George on it. It's blue with a little bit of marble in it. The Ringo side there, you can see. So I'm wondering what they actually used here. We have, it says New Zealand in 1985 for George, actually, and Atlanta 1986 for Ringo. So these are press conferences that I don't believe I've heard. I mean, it's not later on when George was doing the Traveling Wilburys or when he was doing Cloud 9 or anything. And it wasn't Ringo with his All-Star Band tour. So that's going to be interesting. Now, here's an interview picture disc. The Beatles Talk Down Under, which I am guessing is going to be the Australian tour. And it's volume 2, Beatles Talk Down Under, volume 2, but it's a nice picture disc. I don't go crazy purchasing a lot of picture discs. I don't usually, but once in a while, if I see a nice one that I really enjoy, or if I think the price was right, I will get that. And that's the case here. All right, so let's continue. This is interesting. We'll go back to Ringo for a moment here. This is a show that was on with Ringo, a radio show that I never heard when it aired originally, and it's called Ringo's Yellow Submarine, I think, where he introduces songs. Now, this is interesting because it's got a box, kind of like All Things Must Pass box kind of style, and see there's some information written on there. Just to show you what the box looks like there. The ABC watermark, ABC FM radio network. When you open up the top, the inside gets interesting. There are the records, and there's the paperwork. So let me examine these a little at a time. All right, as you can see, just a little gander at this. If you want to freeze, take a closer scrutiny at this. This is many pages long. Promos. This is interesting the way the segments of the show are. That reminds me kind of Paul's idea for Magical Mystery Tour when he wanted to make the film and he cut it up into a pie. That's kind of what that reminds me of when I'm looking at it. And I'll just give you one more idea here. This is kind of the idea of what we're looking at here. The content of each show. And the records. This is like the Lost Lemon Tapes radio show, I guess, where you had like a lot of records. Sometimes you can find these records. There are 3 records here, and this is just an example of one of them. You know, there's the show, the week number, from 1984, June 1984, May 1984. Week number 5, week number 4, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, it's funny, you know, when you're making these videos, folks, you don't really put things away properly. You just put them on the side until you're ready to put them away properly. And once again, I gotta say, because I made a video, this is kind of torn. I just tore this. I let the cover hang over and I tore this because I'm trying to show records on the video. Sometimes it's not the best thing in the world to do. All right, anyway, that's done. So, but hey, that's what we're here for, right? To show stuff. Okay, here's a boot called Withered Beetles. You know, this is kind of popular in a series of weird titled albums, Withered Beetles. There's one like Rabbi Saul, about a rabbi for Rubber Soul. And there's a lot of, there's some outtakes on here, studio sessions, and also looks like fan club stuff, interviews, and also material from the BBC sessions. So maybe I'll just take a look at one of the records while I have it here. It's a standard label that I've seen these on, Rubber Soul kind of records. That's the label there. All right. Let's continue. Now, as I go along here, I'm going to go down to some different kinds of records, meaning I think we're talking about 7-inch really. Let's start with this. This is unusual because this is obviously a bootleg. This is not a real record. I got excited when I saw this. It was a Swan label, and it was Come Give Me a Deine Hand, the German version of I Want to Hold Your Hand. But this record is very thick, even though the label looks like it's you know, vintage from back in the 60s, and it looks kind of worn, and this record is rather thick. I mean, it's got printing in the dead wax, you know, so it looks like you would think this was a real record, but the thickness of it gives it away, and also side 2 gives it away, because side 2 is How Do You Do It, which is, you know, the Beatles did that in the studio, and George Martin wanted them to release it, and they said no thanks, and this and that. So, but this wasn't really available in the 60s. It came out later, you know. So obviously this is not a genuine item. This is just a fun little 45 to have as a boot, if you will. Okay, now we have something here. I'm going to try to cover this up because I just don't want to show this. Paul McCartney about Sgt. Pepper. It says, and it's a limited edition gold vinyl, it says. This says it's from Holland, and there's the B-side of the art. And when you open this, take it out of here, what you're really getting is, you are getting a flexi disc. It's a gold flexi disc. And I haven't played this, so I don't really know exactly what era this is from or what Paul is saying about Sgt. Pepper. It says he's talking about Pepper. So I thought that was an interesting item. Okay, now onward we go to another Paul McCartney item. This I might have. I'm not sure if I had this or not. It's a Rotterdam press conference from July of 1989 on clear wax. So this is an interesting. It's a 10-inch record. It's not 7 and it's not 12. It's a 10-inch record, and I think that's kind of interesting. So I might have it. I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes you know, as you collect, that's the way it goes after a while. You know, maybe you have it, maybe you don't. As long as the price isn't too crazy, it's worth picking it up again anyway. You can always have material to trade. You know. Okay, this is something that I played already. I gave this a spin just to hear what it was, and this is really cool. It's vinyl. You know, it's a press conference from either 65 or 64. I don't know which press conference it is offhand, but you know, it's one we've seen before and heard. One of the main lines is, don't you have problems with that, you know, long hair or something? And John says it's more of a problem having short hair, having to keep it short. And then there's somebody in the audience, a kid, that says, you know, he's inspired by Ringo's drumming. And Ringo says, you'll never get anywhere listening to me. And then he's kidding around and he says, no, you could make it. You could make it. He encourages the kid. So I don't remember, you know, I should know these press conferences. Which press conference is that? And what year is it? I want to say 65 this is. I think it's a 65 press conference. But, yeah, that's an interesting little item there. All right. Next up, we return to Ringo's Yellow Submarine, a radio show, I guess. And it's this one here. It's called The Beatles. It's a nice cover, though, you know. It's called Mellow Yellow. Has Apple Records. Yeah, right. And it's, yeah, the Ringo's Yellow Submarine. It's got on side one, it's actually got the Beatles doing Yellow Submarine. It's all too much. All you need is love. But the other tracks on here, as you can see, Ringo's Yellow Submarine. There's the track listing for side one, and more Yellow Submarine Ringo radio show. So yeah, Ringo scores big here with his Yellow Submarine radio show. And this is the kind of material you never know what you're going to find in this particular collection that I'm talking about. And I don't know what's going to be coming in the weeks and months to come, you know. Let's go back to a 7-inch record here. This is Paul McCartney Little Live Rarities. And it says on there, as you could see, limited edition colored vinyl. And you can see the songs that are available on here. One of Paul's worst songs ever, P.S. Love Me Do, Only Love Remains, Blue Moon of Kentucky, and Best Friend. Okay, well, that's his unusual track. Now, these are all live tracks. You can see here at the listing. P.S. Love Me Do, Only Love Remains, all live recordings. And this is on colored wax, as it said, and the color seems to be, well, the lighting might not be the best. You can see it's a kind of a green, kind of a forest green. No label. So that's an interesting little item there. Okay, now let's go away from the Beatles for a moment and talk about the Rolling Stones. The last video I showed you an Ed Rudy, who was an interviewer, a radio interviewer. Ed Rudy interviewed the Dave Clark 5. We all know that Ed Rudy has albums where he talks about the Beatles and speaks to them and interviews them. Well, this one's the Rolling Stones. You know, 1965 talk album. It's here, love, the Stones. There's Ed Rudy with the microphone, and he's talking to the Stones. And they look just thrilled because, you know, they're such happy guys. You know. But, yeah. So that's pretty cool, you know. I like the Stones, definitely. All right, so there you go. There's interesting artwork on the back. Okay, let's put this over here. Got a couple more. This is pretty common, actually. This is an upgrade. I think, I know I have this already, but this is more of an upgrade, I think. This is a Russian Beatles album. You can get a look at that. The words are all in Russian, the titles, but you can see some English, excuse me. P.S. I love you, and so forth. Like, you want to know a secret? Taste of honey and onward. And I'll show you the label. I don't remember the kind of label I have this on. I think this label is actually maybe different from the label I have it on, actually, the color of it. I could be wrong. I got to double check. But I don't remember mine being like a light blue. I remember it being maybe red or something. So, could be wrong. I got to double check. And the last item for this video that I'd like to show is a 12-inch maxi single. It's Paul McCartney, Long and Winding Road. It's really nice just for the cover. It's really beautiful. Long and Winding Road from the album Tripping Alive, Fantastic. So it's live. And then we have on side 2, we got Sea Moon, Look and Tire, and Put It There. I guess also live, right? And it's EMI Parlophone on the bottom. So to me, that would indicate that it's a UK album, but let's just double check here. It's a 45 RPM, plays on 45. So there you go. And yeah, just a moment to just check it out here. Yes, indeed. Very good. All right. Anyway, that's it. So, yeah, really fun stuff. And you never know what's going to be in this collection. That's the interesting thing about it. You want it to be a lot of stuff, but you don't want to break the bank completely. So, fingers crossed, half crossed. Thank you for watching, folks. See you next time.